welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to create this side menu on Wix Studio. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a title to this section, which I'm going to just call section 1, and I'm going to make that text max content and put it in the middle. I'm going to set the responsive behavior to fit to screen. Then I'm going to duplicate this section by pressing Ctrl D on Windows. I'm not sure what it is on Mac. I'm going to change that to section 2, and we'll give this a background color of blue, and we'll change that text to white quickly, and I'm going to do this another 2 times. Duplicate again, but on this last section I'm going to change this text to S4 heading. Now with our sections selected, we're going to scroll right down to the bottom and click on anchor and add an anchor to this page, and we're going to leave that as section 1, and we're going to add an anchor to the second section. We're going to also add an anchor to the third section, and on this fourth section we're going to add the anchor to the actual heading instead of the section, and we'll change this to S4 heading. Next, what we need to do is we need to add a container to our site, and I'm going to add that container there. We're going to dock it to the left and to the top. I'm going to turn on the advanced sizing, and I'm going to make this 15%. You can adjust the width to any size that you would like. Next, I'm going to set the height to 100 viewport height. Then I'm going to add a shape. I'm going to change that basic shape. I'm going to upload my files. I'm going to select my logo and click add to page. I'm going to turn on the advanced sizing. I'm going to drag that down. I'm going to click the corner to drag it out. Actually, I'm just going to set the width to 100%. With the container selected, we're going to add some padding. Let's say 40 pixels on the top, and we'll do 16 pixels on the left and right. Then we dock that to the top. Make that a bit smaller. There we go. Next, we're going to add our anchor menu. Go to menus and search, anchor menus, and we're going to use that one. Add that to our container. We're going to turn on the advanced sizing and change this to auto. And we're going to want the width to be 100%. And we want that docked to the left. We're going to put these two in a stack, and we'll change that to 24 pixels. With our anchor menu selected, we're going to click on the layout button and align everything to the left. Now if we press preview, at the moment it's not pinned to the page, but now if we scroll down a tiny bit, you can see we're at the top of section 1. And if we click on section 2, the menu is going to disappear. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to change the background to match our body's background, and I'm also going to add a shadow so it stands out a tiny bit. Now with our container selected, we're going to remove that tiny bit of top margin there, and I'm going to set the position to pinned, and we're going to pin it to the page for the minute. And I'm going to reset that width back to 15%, and need to set this stack to a width of 100%. Make sure that's docked to the left, to the top. Now, delete that off our other navigation bar. Now if we click preview and we click on section 2, we can see that section 2 is now blue. If we click on section 3, it will change the text, and if we click on section 4, it changes as well. You can change the colour of that text by selecting your anchor menu and clicking on clicked, and then change the colour to anything you want, but for this example I'm actually going to set that to black. Set that back to 100%. Don't know why it keeps doing that. Next we're going to start customizing our anchor menu with some CSS. The first thing we're going to do is click on these curly braces and click start coding. Next I'm going to add a global CSS file. Close that, and we can get rid of all these comments. We select our anchor menu. You can see here we've got some classes that we can use. The first one we're going to use is this anchor menu item. And I'm going to give this a position of relative. I'm going to give these a margin bottom of 1 red, so there's a bit of space between them all, and I'm also going to give it some padding on the left of 32 pixels. And now if we click preview, we should see the text move over a little bit. This gives us the space on the left to place our icons. Next what we're going to do is we're going to create the little line that's underneath them. So we're going to select our anchor menu item again. But this time we're going to use a pseudo element after. And then we're going to set the content to an empty string. Have a width of 100%. Want a height of 4 pixels. And a background color of 000, which is just pure black. I'm going to give it a border radius. Oops. Of 8 pixels. We're going to position this absolute. We want it on the left, 0, and the bottom we want at -8 pixels. Next we want to set the scale to 0 and 1. This is saying we want the scale to be 0 on the left and right, and 1 on the top and bottom. Then we're going to set transform origin to right, and then we're going to give this a transition. We want to target the scale. We want that to run over 0.4 seconds, and we will just select ease in and out. If we change that back to 1 for a second and then we can click preview, you'll see that we've got a black line under each one of our links now. I'm going to set that back to 0. we're going to target the anchor menu item again, but we only want these CSS styles to apply when the aria-current is set to true. To do that, we add these squares and we write aria-current, and then we want 2 colons after, and then when the aria-current is set to true, we want the scale to be set to 1, 1, and we want the transform origin to be set to left. Now if we click preview, we should only have the underline under the section that we're currently linked over. Next, I'm going to do the icons. First of all, we're going to be targeting the anchor menu item again. This time we're going to use 2 colons and target the before pseudo element. As you have to do with either before or after, so the first thing we're going to do is write content, and that can be an empty string. And then we're going to give this a height of 28 pixels, a width of 28 pixels. Then we're going to position this absolute, and we're going to give this a left of 0 and a top of 50%. Then we're going to use a transform translateY to -50%. This is so that it will sit in the middle of the menu item on the left hand side. Then we're going to set the background repeat property to no repeat and the background size to cover. Next, we now need to access the individual anchor items. We're going to target the anchor menu item again. This time we only want the first item, so we'll do a colon, nth-child. We want the first child, and we want to access the before pseudo element on that first child. And then we want to add a background image to that pseudo element. We need to add the URL, put our empty quotes for a minute. Then to get the link to our icon, we'll go to Tools, Media Manager, Site Files. Then we click on these 3 dots and copy URL, and then we will paste that in there. Now if we press preview, we should have our icon next to our section 1. Next, I'm going to target each of these items individually and set the background image to the logo that I want to use for each one. On Windows, if you highlight, you can press Alt and Shift and down to just copy the whole rule. Update that to number 2, and then update the background image URL. Right, now that I've updated all that, if we click preview, we can now see our icons are all next to our links. Next, I'm going to change it so the font is also bold when we're on that current section of the website. To do, target our anchor menu item again, and like with the underline, we only want these styles to apply when the aria-current is set to true, and when it is set to true, we want to target the anchor menu label. And when the aria-current is true, we want the font weight to be bold. Now if we click preview, can see that it's turned to bold when that is selected. There are other options you could use for this. Instead of bold, you could maybe just target the anchor menu item. If you wanted to remove that label quickly and remove that, you could maybe set this opacity to 0.5. So now that it's greyed out a little bit more when it's the selected version. I'm going to change this back to the font weight bold version though. Now I'm going to click publish. We click view site, and now we've got our sections that update on the side as we're scrolling. If we click on our links, it updates when we get to that section. Now there is a little problem, because if we were to click refresh and then press the tab T, we can see we've got our skip to main content. We go to that link Wix bar, we go to home, and then we go down to the footer link where we want to be going to these links. And the reason is that when this is positioned pinned, it's actually positioning it absolute, which takes it out of the normal flow of the website and stops the tab targeting going in the right order. To fix that, what we have to do is we actually need to select our container, and we need to set this to default. And at the moment it has gone behind it at the back of everything, but I'm going to give this a class name of sidebar. Then we're going to target our sidebar, and we want to give this a position of fixed. We want this fixed to the top, and we want it fixed to the left. And to make sure that it stays above all our other content, we're going to set the Z axis to 9999 and click preview. You can see it's now sitting on top of everything, but at the moment it is sitting above this bar. We can adjust that so it's underneath it by changing this top to 30 pixels. And move it down 30 pixels so it's in line. Now if we click publish, now we'll click view site, and if we start tabbing, we will select our sidebar links before going down to the bottom links. And that's how you can create a sidebar anchor links navigation for your Wix Studio website. I hope you found this video useful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching.